In the kitchen now with Chef Amy Huggins from Outer Banks Epicurean, making 3 dishes. You're very ambitious this morning. Fire-kissed collards, sweet potato surprise, and sauteed local catch with green onion garlic butter. Welcome to the show again.
Thanks, Cheryl.
First time cooking here in the kitchen. And what are we starting with? What kinds of ingredients first?
Well, we're going to make a really simple meal. We've got some beautiful fresh local rockfish. We're getting towards the end of collard season, but we figured let's go ahead and show this recipe because it's super easy, and apparently there's some people who don't care for collards.
I know, you're looking at me. I have not always been a fan, so I'm looking forward to this recipe that I hear is delicious.
Well, we've converted a few, so we'll see if we can convert you, but we're going to make some fire-kissed collards and then sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes are North Carolina's biggest crop. I don't know if y'all knew that or not, but sweet potatoes are delicious. They're low glycemic, so if you have diabetics in the family, your blood sugar doesn't spike as much when you eat a sweet potato versus a white potato. So we're going to cook these all up together, and we're going to do the collards next. But collards have a little stem in the middle, so what we want to do is we're just going to cut this out and remove it, okay? And you don't have to be perfect about it, and you can use your fingers. But one of the things that we do sometimes is roll them up and julienne them. So we don't have to be neat about this, but it gives it a fun little cut, something a little different than Grandma did.
Oh, I like that.
So this is all we need to do, and then we're going to cook them up.
I like the knife skills because I think folks, they get frustrated, you know, when you're starting a dish and you kind of don't have it just so, but this is an easy way.
Yeah, rustic. That's
together.
What we believe is, yes, just call it rustic. And Julia Child always said to never name a dish until you're ready to serve it. Because you just don't know. That souffle may fall and it may become a pudding that you're serving instead, right? So we're going to cook these up with a little garlic because garlic is so good for us, and some of our Outer Banks sea salt. This is something we're actually hand harvesting. So Outer Banks Epicurean is making the sea salt. We're actually pulling buckets of water up from the ocean in Kitty Hawk, and we figured out a way to dry it and reduce it, and now we're making the sea salt. So we're going to put that in. Very simple recipe.
Talk about a local recipe, huh?
Absolutely, 100%.
So with the sweet potatoes, how did you prepare that?
The sweet potatoes, we simply peeled them, diced them, and cooked them in water, boiled them like a mashed potato. Then when we mashed them up, we added just a little bit of butter. Sometimes people add cream to their mashed potatoes, but the sweets are so sweet by themselves that you really don't need to do much. We did make some homemade caramel sauce, and this is the surprise. A lot of people put their yams at the marshmallows. We made some homemade caramel, and we gave you all the recipe. So it's just sugar, butter, and cream, and it comes together very quickly. And then we've got some North Carolina pecans. They came from Currituck. We just roasted these up. So what we're going to do is put just a little drizzle of the caramel and finish with some toasted pecans. Sweet potato surprise.
Oh, so that's it. And the surprise, of course, you're sharing with us. We're going to put the recipe and the ingredients and the how-tos, all of that at thehamptonroadshow.com. So you taught us about that. We're going to work on the collards coming up, and we're going to put that here in the pan.
Yeah, we're going to heat the pan up really hot. So when we get back, if the viewers want to share along, we can do it with any green. It doesn't have to be the collards, but we're going to use the iron skillet. And for women, we know we don't always get our iron, so if you cook in the iron skillet, that's just another way to add the nutrients that we need.
I did not know that, so it kind of seeps into the food.
It does.
And collards are good for you anyway, so altogether it's a good meal good for you. We'll work on that, talk more about the secrets you have for making these great collards coming up in our next cooking segment. And Jeremy there on the couch. With Chef Amy Huggins from the Outer Banks Epicurean Restaurant, making 3 dishes, our fire-kissed collards, sweet potato surprise, and sauteed local catch with green onion garlic butter. And rockfish is next?
Rockfish, right. And we're going to cook up the collards first. Okay. But you and I were just talking for a minute about the local fish and how important it is to support our local fishermen. On the Outer Banks, I know we touched on it a few days ago, but we're really one of the few places left in the world where you can go and experience fish right from the water. You were talking about when did we get this fish? Well, we see it come right into the docks in Wanchese. We have people who pick out our fish for us and bring it to us. So at Outer Banks Epicurean, we only serve local wild-caught seafood because not only is it better for us, but it supports our neighbors. We live in a fishing community, you know. So, and we also use hormone and antibiotic-free meats too, because we think that it's important to pay attention to what we put in our bodies.
Good, healthy ingredients.
Yeah. So let's start the collards.
You cut that up.
We julienne this up. We rolled up the leaves like you were rolling a cigar. So it's kind of fun and makes people wonder, are these collards? Because we're used to cooking them all day long, you know, and the house smelling, and I think that's where people got turned off a little bit from collards. But we heated up the pan really hot, and we've got the cast iron, and we're using just a little bit of olive oil. Now, folks say that, you know, the burning temperature on olive oil is a lot lower than other oils, but we want the flavor in this. We want a nice fruity olive oil. So this is going to go so fast, we're not even going to give that oil a chance to burn.
Okay, so that doesn't matter.
It doesn't, right. So we're just going to go ahead and add it, and you can hear the sizzle, right? So this is just a little bit of the fire kiss. We're just going to go ahead and pop all these collards right down in the pan, okay? And we're just going to, you want to go ahead and do that and mash them around, and well, all we're going to do is just make sure that they
they all get some heat.
Yep, yep, that's it exactly. And so they're going to start to wilt on the bottom and cook, and we're not going to add the garlic until they're totally cooked, and then we take them off the heat. Because we know garlic is so good for us, and the longer we cook it, the more we cook out the good nutrients. So that's like with the collards. If we go ahead and cook the collards down all day, we need to remember to drink a good cup of that pot liquor at the bottom, because that's where all the nutrients are.
Oh, right, right. So the more you cook it, the more
right.
It kind of seeps out.
And it's fun to just say pot liquor, too, isn't it? All right. Well, you're doing good.
Thank you.
See, this doesn't take that long at all. And you can just come home and, you know, pop this in the pan and eat it up, and you know you're just eating those good greens.
Well, I like how you're demystifying the whole collard green thing. All right, we are running out of time.
Okay,
what are we going to happen next?
Next, we're just going to turn off the heat, and then we're just going to add, I've got 3 cloves of garlic minced in here. It may seem like a lot to non-garlic eaters, but go ahead and give it a try. And then we're just going to let this sit, and all the rest of the greens will wilt, and that's all there is to it. Except for a little bit of sea salt. Sorry, forgot the salt. But yeah, just a little sea salt, and that's it.
Very cool. We're going to work on our rockfish, I know, coming up in our last cooking segment. And of course, talk about the Outer Banks Taste of the Beach, which is coming up.
Absolutely.
Amy, thanks very much. Brandon. In the kitchen with Chef Amy Huggins from the Outer Banks Epicurean Restaurant, finishing up our 3 dishes. The rockfish will be going in there in a bit. Ben Sproul also here from the Outer Banks Restaurant Association. The Outer Banks Taste of the Beach starting on Thursday. It's finally here.
It's exciting. Here we go.
That is exciting.
A whole long weekend full of events, like learning how to cook.
Well, you know, we were talking with you, Amy. As your restaurant, you do a lot of cooking lessons. I mean, of course, fresh local is kind of part of your mantra, but then you also teach people
Absolutely.
how to do the same.
Absolutely. We have cooking classes, so if you want to learn something special, give us a call, and we've got a variety of instructors that can teach you. We can go into the cottage. That's how we started 5 years ago, teaching visitors to the Outer Banks about seafood.
That's a great idea.
Folks from Ohio, Wisconsin who don't have access to the fresh seafood, we can come right into their cottage, teach them how to cook it up, even clean up the kitchen before we leave. But they can come in to our shop and have cooking classes. For Taste of the Beach, we're going to teach you how to cook up what you catch. A lot of times people are intimidated by the whole fish and not sure what to do with it. So we even have a class where we'll teach you how to cut it up and then cook it up.
Cool. So you've got the rockfish in there with a little butter and olive oil.
Little butter and olive oil together.
And that's it.
That's it right now.
No other seasoning.
No, we're going to add a little of the compound butter, which is a great thing to do to, if you have some herbs that maybe are getting close to finishing time, go ahead and chop them up. Add a little butter, maybe a little splash of wine, some salt and pepper, and you've got a compound butter. This we actually rolled up. You can see the form on it. We rolled it up and put it in the freezer. So that'll stop the herbs from disintegrating and wilting. And then you have these wonderful compound butters in your freezer that you can just pull out whenever you need something. You know, you've got your fresh fish, you went fishing, now you've got the butter. It's great on a steak or a little piece of meat, pork chop you get from the store.
Great flavor,
so, and it's great to use up things that might go bad in the refrigerator and put it in the freezer.
Definitely. For folks planning ahead, Thursday's the beginning of the Outer Banks Taste of the Beach. And we were talking earlier about how the restaurant owners kind of have ownership of some of the things that they have planned. So you've got some really good things on tap.
Right, we were talking off camera about how popular the event has been, growing by leaps and bounds. We're twice as big as we were just 2 years ago. We've already eclipsed last year's sales.
Not bad.
And like you said, I think a lot of that has to do with how creative folks on the Outer Banks are. If you live on the Outer Banks, you got to work hard to to stay there because it's a short season and we got a tough life there. But I say that facetiously.
I know.
But it makes people really creative. It's very competitive food industry out there. So we've got some great restaurants, over 160 independently owned and operated restaurants, and the best of them, of course, are in the association and competing for bragging rights this weekend by throwing the most creative, most interesting food-related events.
All right. Any things you want to highlight for folks to know about? We talked about the tapas crawl.
Right, lots of tapas crawls where you can go to several restaurants with one ticket. That's a great way to do it. You buy them online and just show up each place and get something to eat. But we also have, like I said, classes. Amy's got a bunch of them listed here on her little poster. We've got coffee cupping. We've got chocolate events. We've got things with oysters. We've got a chowder cook-off. It goes on and on. Anything you could think of. I think we have breakfast pizza, right? Is that one of them? So we've got about 50 events. You could chart your culinary course to the Outer Banks with anything your heart desires.
Ben, thanks very much. We're going to link all that information, how to get tickets, at thehamptonroadshow.com. Amy's wrapping up, putting some of this herb butter, and we'll definitely finish that all up. Share with Brandon before the end of the show. Jeremy's back on the couch.